Hello and welcome or welcome back. My name is V and today we're talking all things into the Emerald Dream, and I would like to take a look at the new cards and give my 2 cents on which cards I think are going to be a total success based on the theory crafting. Once again, thank you so much to Blizzard for inviting me to theory crafting, and if you're curious about all of the game videos, you can find them in the pinned comment under this video. Also, if you leave a comment on any of my theory crafting videos just before the release of the new expansion, you are entering the mega bundle giveaway raffle, so make sure to take a look, choose your favorite deck, and let me know in those comments how you feel about the upcoming expansion and what you're looking forward to. Also, if you're new here on the channel, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and let me know how you feel about the new cards. Now, I've been looking through the new cards a lot, and playing with the new cards in early access has kind of given me a picture, as subjective as it is, of course, on what I would enjoy and what I objectively, I believe, think would be good cards in the next expansion. So I'm gonna start off with Priest, and of course the biggest accent is always on the legendaries, and I will discuss some of them that I think will be quite busted. Priest, I think for the next expansion is locking out quite a bit. I think Tyrant is quite OP, especially with the whole imbue mechanic, because that one feeds you with priest spells. They get cheaper, and I think that that's overall really scary. As Tyrant has a battle cry of the next 3 spells you play cast twice. Now this could potentially be really scary for any sort of OTK combo priest or anything like that, and even as a board clear that you don't think will fully clear your board, this definitely has the potential to make it so. And the fact that it buffs the next 3 spells, that's scary. That is that is quite unnerving, and I am not currently a priest player. I do love Tyrant as a character, but I don't know if I'll be so forgiving when my boards just get continuously wiped, which I think this card has a potential to do, but I'm worried that it can be a lot more devastating than that and actually just create OTKs that we at the moment aren't even fully aware of just yet. Another quite busted card is Aviana, and even though it does sound a little bit slow, I think that it can be quite destructive. With the battle cry of starting a 3-turn lunar cycle, by the way, the animation is quite gorgeous, don't know if you've seen it, but I really enjoyed it. When the full moon rises, your cards cost 1 this game. Now imagine, even though I think this will be a bit of an overkill, if Aviana and Tyrant were in the same deck, and Tyrant was just able to cast 3 more spells, because if you assume that Aviana was played first, and that 3 turns have gone and passed, and then after that Tyrande gets dropped for 7 mana, and that some really expensive spells that would normally, be able to clear the board, kill the opponents and whatnot, they cost 1 and they get cast twice. That's scary. That can pretty much end any game, I believe. So I don't know if I want to see both of these in the same deck, but I think that they're quite busted. Now, when it comes to, let me find it, Escina is the next one that I want to talk about. This one I got to play in Imbue Mage, and holy shit, is it powerful. If 20 friendly minions have died this game, deal 20 damage split among all enemies. This sounds slow at first, but if Imbue Mage gets things going with the wisps dying, and especially if you're trading them off against something like a mid-range or a zoo deck, you can get Escina up on the board quite quickly. So first you're swarming the board with wisps, and then you're just, not only are you clearing the board, but if the board is cleared, you are basically eating away 2/3 of your opponent's health if they have no armor or anything. I think that's pretty scary, not to mention any mechanics that can duplicate the card, bring it back into the hand, replay its effect, or anything. God forbid Shudderwalk and Escina ever, find their way into the board, which admittedly has happened to me in one of my games. But I've also discovered that even when you have it happening, you cannot hurt your opponent because Shadow Walk doesn't hit face, but it was still quite nice to see it clear the entire board. Pretty devastating card. I think with the Wisps, if Imbue Mage has a future, I think Asina is quite a court card in it. Now, when it comes to Paladin, I didn't really have a good experience playing Pally in theory crafting. I thought it was quite iffy, or maybe I was just unlucky. I think it's very unrefined and I haven't seen anyone else play Paladin, but I was really intrigued because I do like the imbue mechanic from the Paladin, like the whole portals and dragons and everything. I think it's so exciting. I love dragons in any way, shape, or form. And I think it's awesome, but this deck just really didn't get it going. However, I think that this new combo is pretty sick. This is something that I had the most fun with. Playing Ursol for a battle cry, cast the highest cost spell from your hand as an aura that lasts 3 turns. I mean, that's essentially gaining additional 14 mana and having the spell being cast from the hand. That's actually gaining 21 mana. For example, if you're casting Renewing Flames, it gets cast 3 times, and Ursol is still an 8 mana 9/7 minion, which is insane. So the value is quite crazy, and with Renewing Flames and some other really expensive spells for Paladin, I think this is quite nice. I think this card even has potential in Wild, although I'm not a Wild player. Paladin is known for these really, really expensive spells that you normally don't want to put into the deck because it just makes no sense to run it, as you can't make them that much cheaper. But Renewing Flames have lifesteal, and they deal 5 damage to the lowest health enemy twice, and this does include the opponent. This means that for 8 mana, you gain 21 additional mana of casting this spell 3 times. Your hand is lighter by 1 hand that you didn't have to spend the mana to play, and it heals you by 10 every single turn, and you can trade and manipulate the board to essentially hit the opponents that you want to hit, which I think is still great. Apart from that, what else did I see that was... Oh yeah, Goldrin. Goldrin is another card that I love its potential, and I haven't seen a lot of people play Hunter. From the comments that I got on the Hunter video, they really made me happy, so thank you for that. I was one of the only people who published a Hunter video because I love Hunter. I will always play a Hunter in theory crafting. I will always experience these mid-range decks as well. As fun as the OTKs are, and as nice as it is to kind of have a controlled deck even at the beginning of the expansion in theory crafting that just works, I will always try a Hunter. I will always try to make Hunter work. I love Hunter, I love Death Knight. Those are my 2 favorite classes, and in every single expansion you can absolutely expect me to have a Hunter or a Death Knight deck or something along those lines. Goldrin is devastating with King Plush. It's quite scary what they can do, especially with some of these additional cards that actually buff the cards. If Amphibian Spirit somehow lands on a King Plush, or if there's other cards that essentially buff Hunter's cards or minions that are in the hand, which there are, it's really scary how much damage it can do, and it can just kill an opponent in 1 turn, especially if, for example, if King Plush gets somehow summoned from hand or something. It was scary. It was scary. You should take a look at these games and see for yourself what Hunter and Goldrin together can do. I was quite shocked to see how powerful he is. And what's really cool is that even if you somehow get a mini copy, like a 1/1 copy or something, in any way, shape, or form, him being on the board has the same effect. So, you know, if you can get it going, it's quite scary. Anyway, there were more things that I wanted to mention as cards that I really do believe in, at least when it comes to legendaries. I will talk about some epics and rares and everything else, of course, but Marithra is another one of those that I had a really, really good experience with. Marithra has a battle cry to resurrect all different friendly minions that cost 8 or more. Now, this revolves around the Shaman Imbue mechanic, which essentially evolves, and the more you imbue the hero power, the more expensive the minion is that you evolve. And if you like to have some fun with evolves, and if you happen to get minions on the board that didn't really didn't really get to do much the first time around, but maybe they have like an end of turn effect or something that you want again, Marithra is just gonna resurrect them right back, and it's such a good card. You can get an insane amount of value because she'll just resurrect everything that's died in the game so far. So as a late game board refill, after you've gotten your imbues and after you've evolved your cheap minions into expensive ones, sometimes you even forget the amount of things that you've evolved, and then when you spawn Marithra on the board, it's just crazy. Like, it's just such a good card, so fun to play. Maybe Evolved Shaman is not gonna be the most competitive deck, but holy shit was it fun. Now, I do have to give this disclaimer, I probably should have given it at the beginning of the video. There are cards that I still don't quite understand the purpose of, and I think that's pretty normal and okay to admit at the beginning of the expansion because not everything's been figured out yet. But this is just a very unrefined opinion on these cards, and I'm not claiming that, you know, that this will be the absolute meta or whatever. This is just a glimpse of what I've experienced and how I feel about these cards so far. So I think that these are some of the cards that are going to be worth crafting, but of course don't take my word for it. Another card that was absolutely wrecking me during the theory crafting, both from warriors and non-warriors who somehow summoned Ysandra, was Ysandra. So Ysandra is a taunt that has a death rattle that summons a random dragon for each time Ysandra has died this game. Each time Ysandra, not your Ysandra or your opponent's Ysandra, but both. So I actually happened to play against, I believe I was playing as a paladin and my opponent was a warrior. And in one of those games, of course I lost, that deck was no good. So if you want to see a really bad dragon imbue paladin, go watch these videos. But when it comes to Ysandra, it actually can get really toxic as well, because summon a random dragon for each time Ysandra has died this game. This means that Ysandra can also be spawned from that pool, and it can just create a plethora of dragons every time Ysandra dies. And if there's at least 2 Ysandras on the board, and if there's paladin portals that summon random dragons, those random dragons can come from anywhere. So it's actually quite scary what a single Ysandra in the game can do, let alone if there's 2. Maybe I'm just looking at the card from the fun aspect and I'm like, oh, this was really fun to play, you know, even though the games weren't that good. I don't necessarily think it's a devastating card, but I think it's a lot of fun. And if you're a fan of dragons, I think, you know, if you have the dust, or at least a little bit of dust to spare, and you just want to play a fun dragon deck, I think you owe it to yourself to at least try a warrior and get Ysandra into that deck and, you know, see what you can do. Another card that I thought was OP, and I think it had to be because it's kind of a signature card of the entire expansion, is Ysera, the Emerald Aspect. So at the start of the game, it increases both players' maximum mana by 5, but as a battle cry, you gain 3 mana crystals, which is, I mean, I guess this is nice because it gives you a refill. This card essentially means that all of the both of the opponents will increase their maximum mana, but you will get that refill when you play Ysera, which is, I guess, is nice, but I don't know if you spent 9 mana on the on Ysera. This means that you overall have 14 mana overall. 9 and 5, that's 14. So you were essentially left with 6 mana, and the fact that the battle cry says gain 3 mana crystals, this pretty much means that you can play any 9 cost dragon that you want. And if you take a look at all of the 9 cost dragons in Hearthstone, you are going to find plenty. So I think that this card can combo itself with so much. If you're playing a dragon deck, you absolutely have to have the emerald aspect in it. Now, there are some cards that are epic and rare. I kind of started off with legendaries because everyone's interested in legendaries. That's what, most people will care about. But another card that I think is quite dangerous is Moonwell, especially with Tyrant and Aviana. Maybe not even both in the deck, but Moonwell deals 4 damage to all enemy characters and restores 4 health to all friendly characters. So this means that you could technically, if you had 2 Moonwells in the deck, and if you played Aviana and your spells suddenly cost 1, let's say there's a combo and you play Tyrant, and Tyrant can cast the next 3 spells twice, so this one costs 1. This essentially means that you can deal 16 damage to all enemy characters, and what's really good about this card is that it deals it in waves. That means that even if there's a death rattle on the board, that those death rattles will most likely be procced before the card is before the minion is well, before the spells are spent, is what I wanted to say. So you deal 4 and then 4, and then let's assume that whatever is on the board that it died, and then it deals another 4, even if it's like a reborn minion or whatever, it dies off. So you could deal up to 16 damage without any sort of spell damage at all, and then you can heal yourself and your board by 16, and I think that's quite dangerous. So yeah, very, very dangerous card. And I think with a combo of Tyrande and Aviana, Priest has a very, very bright future. There have been some more cards. I've seen the potential of the Leech Death Knight. Sadly, I didn't get to play it, but I played against it, and I could see firsthand what the DK was capable of. And as a DK fan, I was both excited and intimidated, to be honest with you, as the Hideous Husk says your leeches steal 2 more health from their victims. So a leech in itself, I don't know if I can open the card and show you what the leech is. So the leech here, as it says, at the end of your turn, your hero steals 1 health from the lowest health enemy. This means that leeches will steal 2 more health until I'm not sure if this is for the rest of the game or while Hideous Husk is on the board, but if you have leeches that are stealing, let's say you have a board full of leeches, best case scenario, they're stealing 6 health per turn. Now they're stealing 2 more per each leech, so that's 12 health more that they're stealing. And for those of you who are not familiar with the leech mechanic, leech essentially means that they take off an HP without damaging. That means that you permanently have less health than what you're supposed to. And I've experienced this firsthand. It is very, very, very frustrating and very difficult to battle this, because you start with 30, but then there's a lot of leeches. They've cleared your board because they've, sucked all their health, and then they come after you. And you're suddenly there with, 3 or 4 health, and you can't recover because your class isn't capable of creating more armor, and you're just losing health. So you're never really getting damaged, like you're literally getting leeched off of, and then you just die because you have 0 health, but you're at full health. It's crazy. It's actually so scary, and I love it. I think the card is really good, and I think that Death Knight really needed something like that to be able to combat the other classes. There have been some more cards that I thought were really good. I haven't really spoken about the cards that I think suck, but if you would like me to make another video and talk about the cards that I think are just awful, please let me know in the comments, because I do have a lot of things to say. But if this is something that you're interested in hearing from me, as someone who's come back to Hearthstone after a few years with reinvigorated passion for the game, if you can call it so. I would love to make a little bit of a review on that. I am actually looking for a particular card. Let me see. I think I skipped it. All right, here it is. Resplendent Dreamweaver. The fact that this is a common card and is easily used in any imbue deck is wild. This is a 4-mana 5/4, and it says Battlecry, if you've imbued your hero power twice, deal 5 damage to a minion. This doesn't sound like a lot at first, but it's just a really good card. It's a good board presence. It works well with the imbue mechanic because by turn 4, realistically, even if you play it at turn 4, which is sometimes even unlikely that you will have a target to hit with it, you still are doing well because you have the opportunity to imbue twice for sure before this happens. And it deals 5 damage to a minion. It's a board clear, it's a strong board presence, so even though it looks kind of like an ordinary card, I sometimes really like to give credit where credit is due to these cards that, you know, that look a bit ordinary, but they're really not. Divination is one of them as well, and I had it in my Imbue Mage. So Divination says destroy a friendly wisp to draw 3 cards, which is kind of like a much better Arcane Intellect, especially if you're playing Imbue Mage. You don't give a shit about one wisp, and one wisp to draw 3 cards for 2 mana is just absolutely wild, and I think that this is definitely a necessary card draw in Mage, sorely needed and really dangerous. You have no idea what the potential of Divination is. I was a bit skeptical. I was like, do I want to destroy my own minion? The answer is yes, you do. Yes, you do, because this card will replenish you, literally. Ward of Earth, even though I hate to admit it, and I'm not a huge fan of druids, is quite a scary card. And this is also it has multiple effects. So it says gain 5 armor, summon a random 5-cost minion and give it taunt. It's just a really good defensive card. Honestly, really solid. You can pretty much get any 5-cost minion, and if you luck into like a reborn minion or a death rattle or something like that with an additional effect, is quite good. So I mean, it's what's really good about this card is that it doesn't have a limitation on the 5/5s. It doesn't just summon a 5/5 random 5-cost minion because everything is in 5s. No, you can get a 5-cost minion that potentially has a really shitty battle cry that, I don't know, damages it or something, but then it ends up not doing so, and you end up really lucking out on it. So I think it's a really good card for a druid. And to be honest, even though this is a common card, I left it for last because I think this is the absolute highlight of the entire expansion. The best card in the expansion, if you are ever going to play an Imbue deck, is the Flutterwing Guardian. It has a taunt and a divine shield and a battle cry, imbue your hero power. I'm sorry, but I'll take a win here. If I'm playing an Imbue deck, I have a taunt, I have a divine shield, I'm buffing my hero power, and I have a 4/4 on the board. First of all, I'm still one of those, I guess, very old school players with a little bit of resentment towards priest, and whenever I play a 4/4 minion, I'm always like, ha, I'm untouchable. I'm no longer untouchable, and nobody is. And I think that the priest has gained a lot of different tools over the years that don't limit the, I guess, the removals to either 3 or less or 5 or more. But there's still a little bit of that. And also, it's just a 4/4 for 4 mana with all these effects. I think it's a great card. It's both defense and offense, and I absolutely love it. So even though we've gone through all of the legendaries and epic cards, this common card is the absolute card that you need to have in your Imbue decks, no matter what you're playing. And I think you'll love it. What do you think about the new cards? What's your favorite one? What are you looking forward to? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and make sure to check out the playlist in the pinned comment and leave any comment on any of the 4 theory crafting videos that I posted in that playlist, as you are going to be entering the mega bundle giveaway provided by Blizzard. Blizzard, thank you so much for that, and we will be drawing a winner just before the expansion hits. So good luck to everyone. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.